Today, we are going to learn Gandhiji's view on ideal state. In Gandhian thought, the goal of human life is the complete development of the manifold possibilities of human nature, self-realization. Such realization of the self is possible only by complete dedication of man to the service of community and his identification with humanity in general. The society which will be able to create an atmosphere favorable to the realization of this goal has two fundamental characteristics. First, it must be based on the recognition of the moral freedom of man considered as an end in itself. Second, it must be based on the principle of nonviolence. The principle of nonviolence in its context implies in presence of fearlessness and self-control among the individuals. If the people are non-violent, Gandhiji argued, there could be no exploitation in any form and social action would be based on the principle of cooperation. Thus, the voluntary cooperation of the people would render the compulsive element of the state entirely out of place. This would result in the emergence of stateless society. Gandhiji talked about Panchayati Raj. There will be decentralization of powers in the state of his imagination. He talks about a secular state where religion will be a personal matter of the individual. There will be no discrimination against any person. Gandhiji was against all centralization because centralization cannot force and anything based on force is opposed to freedom and to morality. An individual can realize the moral nature which is his real nature only by pursuing the path of ahimsa, satyagraha and niskam karma, means nonviolence, truth and selfless work. He can do so only a moral climate free from all restrictions on his natural being. Gandhiji felt that the state hampers the fulfillment of the basic moral and spiritual expression of individual and therefore was opposed to. Gandhiji said, India is a nation, not a nation, a conspiracy by many imperialists interprets to proclaim that India is merely an administrative plot, which the British added for the convenience of governments. There is a sad lack of unity and nationalism among the people here. The slightest nationality seen in Indians is also not traditional and natural. Rather, it is implanted by Western ideas and communication devices like rail, telephones, etc. Gandhiji strongly denied this imperialist establishment. He insisted that India has been a nation before the arrival of the British. In his words, you have been taught by the British that you were not a nation and it would take you hundreds of years to become a nation. This is completely baseless. When the British were not in India, we are not nation. Our thoughts were one. Our way of life was one. That's why the British established a kingdom here. He created differences between us later. For Gandhiji, nationalism meant love of the nation, which further meant love for all the citizens of the nation. He has clearly stated that India is not just a multicolored group of a few communities, but it is a nation where the aspiration and hopes of the people are driven by common interest. He described collective pride, mutual responsibility, and intellectual opinions as conducive to nationalism. When society is constituted of such individuals, everyone would be his own ruler, ruling oneself in a manner that would not hinder anyone. Thus, he would try to bring about a reconciliation between the society as a restraining factor and the individual as a free being. He was realistic enough to admit the flaws and limitations of man as he is usually to be found in our world. Such individuals make the establishment of the state necessary. A stateless society can evolve only when men have grown accustomed to their social obligations. He thus advocates that the state should be maintained to realize the aim of a stateless society.